It's the future. It's the future. There ain't no future unless we build it now. It's the future. It's the future. It's the future. There ain't no future unless we build it now. United States, Africa, we salute ya. A new state of mind, I introduce ya. Close your eyes and visualize the rise of a new paradigm. Solar powered skyscrapers.
Welcome to the Africa Must Unite podcast, a podcast dedicated to inspiring African people worldwide to rise up, organize, and struggle for Pan-Africanism, a unified, liberated, socialist Africa, the only permanent solution to the exploitation and oppression of African people, no matter where they happen to be born or happen to live in the world. Now please, welcome the hosts of Africa Must Unite.
Africa's future is now, so get ready.
Greetings, revolutionary greetings. I am Mama D.
And I am Sister Tasha.
And we welcome you to another Africa Must Unite podcast. And we are the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist
Party.
Yes, we are. And this is the month of December in our 36th podcast. What do you think about that, Tasha?
That's pretty exciting.
Woo!
And month of the year, so we closing out the year with this special podcast.
We are closing out the year. And as always, we're going to start with the special important dates in the month of December. And so, December 1st, Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to follow segregated seating law on buses in Montgomery, Alabama in 1955. On the 4th of December, Mark Clark and Fred Hampton, Black Panther Party leaders, were assassinated by Chicago police in 1969. On the 5th of December, Nelson Mandela, activist and first president of Azania, South Africa, died in 2013. Also on this date, first All-African Peoples Conference held in Accra, Ghana in 1958, and the National Council of Negro Women, founded in 1935. All on the 5th of December, Tasha.
Yeah, that was a lot. And one
On the 6th, we always have these important people, Africans who patented things, invented things. So we have R.B. Spikes, patented automatic gear shift on the 6th of December. On the 7th, Antonio Maceo, Cuban freedom fighter, died in 1896. On the next date, 8th of December, Roberto Sobukwe was born in South Africa in 1925. And on the 9th of December, Tanzania Political Independence Day, 1961. On the 12th, Kenya gains independence in 1963. And on the 13th, Ella Baker, political activist, was born in 1903. And on this same date, the 13th, more than 13,500 African workers in Namibia went on strike protesting the migrant labor system in 1971. On the 14th of December, UN Declaration on the Granting of Independence issued to colonial countries and peoples in 1960. On the 15th, William A. Hinton developed the famous Hinton test for diagnosing syphilis in 1927. On the 16th, ANC formed the Spear of the Nation for armed struggle against apartheid in Azania, South Africa, 1961. And on the 17th, ZAPU formed to fight settler colonialism in what was then Rhodesia, what's now Zimbabwe, in 1961. On the 18th, Steve Biko, leader of the Black Consciousness Movement in South Africa, was born in 1946. On the 19th, Carter G. Woodson, African historian and father of Negro history, born in 1875.
Oh, that's today. Happy birthday,
Isn't
Mr.
that
Woodson.
something? On the 21st, Thomas Sankara, Pan-Africanist and president of Burkina Faso, born in 1949. On the 22nd, Dr. Chancellor Williams, author of The Destruction of Black Civilization, was born in 1898. On the 24th is Libya Political Independence Day, 1951. And on the 26th, the first day of Kwanzaa, Umoja, unity. And we always say, Tasha, we need a union of African socialist states, a unified socialist Africa that's going to bring us a permanent solution to our exploitation and oppression. So that's what unity means for us. Umoja means for us.
Umoja.
Yes. On the 29th, Cheikh Anta Diop, African anthropologist and political activist, was born in Senegal in 1923. On the 31st of December, Amy Jacques Garvey was born in 1895. And on the same date, Bianzin leads people to defend Dahomey. It was then Dahomey, it's now Benin, against French imperialism in 1892. Those are some important dates, aren't they, Tasha?
They are. And then, as you were talking about the unified socialist Africa, we always ask ourselves, why Pan-Africanism in the first place? Why?
And that is exactly what we're going to be talking about today, isn't it?
Yes. So when we ask the question, why Pan-Africanism? We think about the worldwide socialism will ultimately helps cure the problems experienced by people around the world as a result of capitalism's negative impact. However, for African people, though, the quickest cure is Pan-Africanism, a united socialist Africa. Instead of waiting years and years for institutions to be changed to guarantee fairness to all, no matter what their skin color, Pan-Africanism will give African people the much-needed jumpstart towards total equality and justice. So, Mama D, and when you think about that, like in many locations of the world, African people make up only a small fraction of the population.
That's right.
Yeah, so for example, like in the U.S., that fraction is only 13.5%. And being such a small number of people living on someone else's land, African people in the USA can only come to the bargaining table as beggars, dependent on the kindness and fairness of others.
Isn't that something?
Yeah, and no people have ever managed to free themselves when their land has been controlled and exploited by other people. Fortunately, though, despite hundreds of years of exploitation, Africa is still the wealthiest land base on the face of the earth, the second largest continent in the world, and the second most populous. Power comes from the wealth that is produced by the land, for no people can achieve equality by begging for it. Wealth gives one the power to demand fair treatment, fair prices for goods and services, which all translate into respect. And finally, Mama D, liberation.
That's right.
So with the United Socialist Africa, African people will be able to stand on their own feet with their own wealth, solidarity, solidly behind them. African people will be able to demand justice as well as to trade on an equal footing. And African people will have a new image, one of a powerful, beautiful people, whenever and wherever they happen to live in the world. So before China closed its doors and freed itself from Western imperialism, a popular saying existed throughout the West, particularly in the United States. Remember, Mama D, when they used to say, you don't stand a Chinaman's chance in hell of doing something?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but they were talking about the Chinese condition throughout the world was so lowly that they were called even niggers.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Today, Chinese are thought of as very intelligent people. It doesn't matter whether she never opens her mouth. When a Chinese person walks into a room, you don't even know whether he is a third or she is a third generation Chinese who speaks only English or someone who had just come from China. It doesn't matter. The image of the Chinese has evolved along with the evolution of the land-based China. So, sisters and brothers at home and abroad, let us all stand up and be counted as a part of the African Revolution to defeat global capitalism and build Pan-Africanism. So when we say why Pan-Africanism, those are the reasons. So please, it would be awesome if we can join a revolutionary Pan-African socialist organization today. And we always say, Mama D, forwards ever, backwards never.
That's right. And Tasha, you know, that was part of our 2020 calendar that we had for our focus on for this month of December. Very important, you know, because people, when you mention this whole point about it does not matter, you know, whether or not people see you and think of you as somebody just coming from China, or see you and see me and don't know whether we come from Africa or Caribbean or born right here in the U.S. The point is that, you know, people see you as connected to your land base. So, you know, we always say the African people, we as an African people will evolve with the evolution of Africa. So as Africa raises itself up, becomes a wealthy, powerful nation, that lifts all of us up. It doesn't matter if we're born in the U.S. or Jamaica or Brazil. As a person of African descent, that whole image of Africa translates into the image of us. So today, as we always talk about, Tasha, the image of Africa is so lowly. You know what I mean? Still today, even though it has all that wealth in it, the richest continent in the world, even despite that, we're not in control of that wealth, and we're not benefiting from that wealth. So until we're in control of it and we benefit as a people worldwide, you know, it's going to be seen as lowly. But once it raises itself up and we help it to raise up, when it unifies and uses this wealth for all of the people, then we all benefit, not just materially, like in terms of education and our health care and all of that wherever we live in the world, but also immaterially in terms of our whole image as a people, you know, so we'll be seen as a beautiful, powerful, healthy, all those things that are associated with that continent will then be associated with us. That's an important thing to think about, isn't it, Tasha?
It is. And you know what, Mama D, as you were talking, I was also thinking about not only how other people view you, but also how you feel, your identity inside yourself, to be proud that you're connected to Africa.
That's an excellent point. And, you know, that is so important, because right now our image of ourselves is so lowly too, you know, and this is why Kwame Nkrumah in his famous book Conscientism talks about the crisis of the African personality. And that is because of our subjugation, our exploitation and oppression that's still going on today. We don't feel good about ourselves, so we don't look in the mirror and say, look at me. You know what I mean? And you know, Tasha, in our Watoto Uhuru Shule, our children's freedom school that we do bi-weekly, you know, we talk about trying to raise our children up, giving them the correct history and culture so that they can see beauty in themselves, you know.
Yes, and they can be proud to connect to their land base, which is Africa.
That's right. And you know, another question that we always get is, you know, this question about why should we even, those of us living in the U.S., or we might be living in Kingston, Jamaica, or we might be living in London, England, or wherever we might be living, why would we struggle for a unified socialist Africa? How is it going to help me as a person? And that's what we've just been talking about. You know, some people say, well, we got so many problems right now. We got people dying of coronavirus. We got people struggling to have enough food to eat and adequate shelter and all of that. But, you know, and they say these things need to be dealt with now. And we appreciate that. And we appreciate organizations that are out there struggling to help our people right now.
Yes.
But our quest, and we need both things, people helping right now, but we also need people who are concerned about getting rid of the exploitation and oppression of African people in general, permanently. You know, you don't want each generation to come along and have to deal with these same problems. So you have some organizations dealing with what's happening to our people right now, and we're thankful for it because our people need food and shelter and all of that. But we also need organizations that are struggling to destroy that enemy that's causing the problems for our people, generation after generation. And we always say that's capitalism, you know, an economic system that's concerned with only 1% of the population, while other people, 99%, are struggling to have a decent home or a home, period. It's getting ready to be the holiday season, whatever you celebrate. It's getting ready to be the new year. And we got people who are homeless, people who are in lines for food, people dying of coronavirus. Now, the virus is one problem, but the amount of people who are dying from it is a problem of capitalism. Because you
think about that health remedy.
It's a health thing, and it's a health concern that you don't have a national or international health plan in place for all of the people, you know. So we say again that we're not opposed to anybody out there trying to reform conditions right now. You have to have reform and you have to have revolution. And the two will help us to evolve to another whole level of existence. And Tasha, this is why, you know, we've been dealing with all this year, 2021, those organizations that are out there helping us to struggle for Pan-Africanism. So, you know, we said in our introduction at the beginning of the year that we are and have been focusing on revolutionary Pan-African socialist organizations, those at home and those in the diaspora, whose objective is a unified socialist Africa, a permanent solution to our exploitation and oppression, and why we believe that our people should know about these organizations that are out there struggling for them. And in Class Struggle in Africa, we always talk about this, Tasha. Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah wrote, quote, "The total liberation and unification of Africa under an all-African socialist government must be the primary objective of all Black revolutionaries throughout the world. It is an objective which, when achieved, will bring about the fulfillment of the aspirations of Africans and people of African descent everywhere," end quote. So these revolutionary Pan-African socialist organizations that we've been highlighting since January 2020 are determined.
That's amazing. We had a whole year.
Oh, we had a whole year. And our people have to know about these organizations. And these organizations are determined to work together in order to more effectively politically educate our people, and thus to more quickly bring into existence a unified socialist Africa. And this is so the wealth that is generated from the richest continent in the world will be used to benefit all African people, no matter where they happen to be born or to live in the world. And Tasha, you know, we just want to call out these organizations. They've given us so much information all year long. We started off with the All African People's Revolutionary Party, APRP. This just shows you how we can come together. People say Africans don't come together. We can come together. We got proof that we can come together.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, so we had the All African People's Revolutionary Party starting us off. We had Amilcar Cabral Ideological School next, and then we had Andy Jeff coming out. Now, see, All African People's Revolutionary Party is throughout the world. Amilcar Cabral Ideological School based in Nigeria. I just wanted to say this. Andy Jeff is based in Senegal. We had also the Cincinnati Pan-African Coalition, CPAC. We had Friends of the Congo on. That was beautiful. We had Pan-African Community Action, PACA. We had the Pan-African Federalist Movement of Nigeria highlighted. And we had us, Tasha, we included ourselves, of course. We included ourselves and highlighted what we do as an organization, including our education of children, a free school for all children ages 2 years old and to 18. And we had the Zimbabwe movement of African socialists, ZIMOPAS. So this is what we've been doing, and what we like to do today is to bring on board the worldwide Pan-African movement. And you know why, Tasha? Because this is something to culminate our year with, because we've been talking about and bringing on board individual organizations that are struggling for Pan-Africanism. And we've been talking about we have to come together and get together and form a coalition. Well, by talking about the worldwide Pan-African movement, what we're doing is saying that there's something already that's out there that exists, that brings together, umbrellas, a lot of different organizations, Pan-African organizations. And it's just so fitting that we end December with bringing members or representatives of the worldwide Pan-African movement on board this morning. Isn't that so?
Yes, it is. So, Mama D, when we talk about the worldwide Pan-African movement, is this a group of different organizations brought together as one?
Yes, it's a group of organizations, and we're going to hear from them. I guess we should let them speak for themselves, but you can go to their website and see all of the organizations, including us, that's listed there, that are struggling in terms of working together to help politically educate, to help do other things. And this is what the organization will talk about today.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm fine in revolutionary spirit.
Yes, love it.
We were just giving a shout out to Worldwide Pan-African Movement. So, John, and for our audience, you can introduce yourself, and then we can go on from there.
Okay, I'm glad you all are doing this. You all are one of the major contributors to the Worldwide Pan-African Movement, the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party, and I'm glad I could contribute today. My name is John Trimble. I'm a cadre with the All-African People's Revolutionary Party, and the AAPRP is one of the founding members of the Worldwide Pan-African Movement.
Oh, that's beautiful. And Tasha, what's the second question we have there?
So, John, can you give us just a little bit of history about the Worldwide Pan-African Movement?
Yes. The Worldwide Pan-African Movement actually was an effort launched by the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania. Particularly Chris Sankara really was animated about us pulling together different Pan-African organizations. And we had several efforts initially to try to call for an international conference, and it finally came off in June of 2016 in Soweto, where the PAC hosted an international conference on Pan-Africanism. So it was our initial inaugural conference, and at that conference you had 8 organizations and a number of individuals. The 8 organizations represented were the APRP, the PAC, which was hosting us, the New Black Panther Party, the Black Lawyers for Justice, SOPA, which is the Socialist Pan-Africanist of Tanzania. ZANU-PF had representatives there from their chapters in South Africa, the Khoi Liberation Movement, and AZAPO, the Zambian People's Party. So those were the founding members, and at that historic conference, we had a number of papers presented with regards to the history of the Pan-African movement and where we should be going. And at that conference, there were a set of resolutions that we crafted. And those resolutions were included that we would go back to our respective areas and engage other Pan-African organizations. And one of the things that was hotly debated at the convention was whether we were going to be an organization of organizations, a movement of organizations, or whether we were going to try to recruit individual members. And it was decided that we would focus on bringing organizations together. And I think this was a historic move because quite often we have Pan-African organizations starting up and then they go out and they recruit individuals. But we said, no, we don't want to recruit individuals. We want to get organizations. And if individuals approach us, we want to get them to join one of the organizations that exist, because we have so many organizations around the world that exist that are Pan-Africanist. And if they did not agree with organizations that they saw already part of WWPAM, but they saw the importance of a worldwide Pan-African movement, then we would say, go start an organization and then come and join as an organization. So this, I think, was one of the important positions that we took at the conference, and that we also enshrined in our charter and constitution. So the following year, after having online meetings and discussions, we launched our charter and our website. And then from there, we moved to engage and get more organizations as part of WWPAM.
And John, that is so beautiful. It's so much needed. And just as you mentioned, encouraging people, we know organization is the key, and we know how vulnerable we are in terms of trying to do something singly, alone, all disorganized. And we're only going to win through organization. And that's why we tried all year to feature different revolutionary Pan-African organizations out there so our people can know, okay, here's an organization I want to join. So that is just a great thing in terms of how you started and why you started.
I love the way they said they decided to stay as an organization versus individual, because we always talk about those sticks together in that bundle is so much more powerful.
Are unbreakable. And the purpose, I think you already mentioned, John, to bring these organizations together, and then what?
Well, I think that's just like you mentioned, the sticks in the bundle. I mean, the idea is that we want this broader Pan-African movement. We realize that no one of our organizations can do everything and can satisfy the demands or aspirations of all of our people, so that we have a charter that kind of binds us in terms of these certain principles. We're socialists. We are opposed to imperialism. We're opposed to Zionism. So we laid that out in the charter. And the idea is to both build a movement, but also to promote political education across our African communities. And I think this is important because, and it's also linked to us building our organization, because we know we're all small organizations at this time, and that we are underfunded, but it's because of the dominance of capitalist ideology, so that we understand that it's through political education of the broader African community that people will come to understand the importance of Pan-Africanism in terms of liberating and unifying Africa under scientific socialism. So being able to promote across our organizations and our movements, this is so important. I think the third is to support each other's projects.
Yes.
As you know, a major project the All African People's Revolutionary Party has is African Liberation Day. So we've engaged different organizations in terms of African Liberation Day, encourage them to have projects with regards to that. I think a good example is the work you all do with the Calendar Project. And the excellent example is how you included various WWPAM organizations in that and then reached out to share that information. So that's both, I think, an example of how one can support a member organization's project, but also how the political education can reach out in a broader sense than if we were just acting in isolation.
And that's right. That's so right, John, because, we always say, and you remember that handout on the necessity of revolutionary organizations. And one of the things we always say is our enemy is well organized, and so we want to belong to a Pan-African organization, but we also need a broader umbrella like the Worldwide Pan-African Movement, a coalition of these revolutionary Pan-African organizations so that we can be stronger. And your point about political education is real key because, sometimes you get the question about, well, what y'all do? And you say, well, politically educate. And people sometimes want to run and pick up a gun or something, but you got to know who you are as a people. You got to know your identity. You got to know who your enemy is. You got to know why a certain objective is best for us. And we got to know our strategy. And so, it's a lot that we have to know before we say now how we're going to take down this enemy. So that's so key.
And I want to just piggyback on one of the things you just mentioned in terms of knowing strategy. One of the things that we launched and we're still in the process of is that we asked all our member organizations to share their strategy, so that we can actually put that on the website so that people can see, here's the strategy, the APRP, they're focusing on developing a revolutionary intelligentsia through campus work, or here's the strategy of the new Black Panther Party, or the strategy of the PAC and their positive action campaign. So this is an ongoing effort. We have currently on our website only a few of the strategies that we've received from our organizations, but that's something we're building on because that becomes both an opportunity to share political education because the strategy that one presents is a form of political education. And also it gives the audience of those who are visiting our website to gain a little more insight about the member organizations and to give them a better sense of what they're getting if they decide to join one of our organizations. Mm-hmm. So I think it's key.
That is very key, and we've been in the recent time as Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party concentrating on trying to help build coalitions, relationships between and among all of us as revolutionary Pan-African organizations. So at least we are mirroring. We are trying to work in parallel, understanding, how important, coming together as organizations really is. So that's great. And of course, we also concentrate on educating our youth. So that's a big thing for us, to be consistently there and giving them early on from the age of 2 or 3, beginning to get them to see what Africa looks like, to see beauty in themselves, to understand their history, culture, and current realities. So we have to get that to you, John.
Please, I think that's really on point. because I mean we're all getting up there in our age,
Yes.
and we're grandparents, and we really have to get the youth engaged. And we've for years talked about the students being the spark and the importance of the youth, but we have to really continue to focus in on the younger generation because they do represent the future, and we see how overwhelming the misinformation of capitalism and imperialism is, and how it's a negative effect on our youth. So we have to do whatever we can to counter that, and that's why I salute the kind of work you're doing with the youth.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it. So, John, what are other plans in the future and objectives for your organization?
Well, one of the things that WWPAM launched, and we're still working and struggling with our organizations to push, is, and it was initiated by the PAC because part of their positive action campaign addressed reparations. So we asked all of our member organizations to put forward what strategy they had relating to reparations, and different views about how to deal with reparations. With regards to here in Azania, that's a central theme linked to the land, and a central difference between what are considered the Africanist and the Charterist. Just sort of to give you a brief history of that is the Freedom Charter, which came from the ANC, was the major split that created the PAC, with the Youth League, led by Robert Sobukwe, left the ANC and formed the PAC in 1959. And the big difference was the position of the Africanists that the land belonged to indigenous people. It wasn't just a matter of saying everybody here after post-apartheid should then be a happy rainbow nation, and we see that hasn't happened. So a key point in addressing the ongoing issue with regards to land for the PAC is their position that links land to reparations, and this is also a key point that the APRP has had in terms of land and indigenous people globally being in terms of issues with reparations, so that we always saw it broader than some of our communities, which just saw a call for reparations with relationship to slavery. So, but we're basically calling on all of our organizations to put forth their strategy. The issue of reparations has been in the news and in much media globally. There's efforts and call for reparations from Namibia to the Caribbean to the U.S. to the various places across Africa. So how can we politically educate the broader African community around reparations and come up with strategies that reflect the position of the various organizations, but most importantly, make the most sense in terms of us pushing forward toward Pan-Africanism.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes, that is so much needed. And, I'm sure those listening want to know how their organizations can join the worldwide Pan-African movement.
That's very easy. We have, our website, which is just www.pam.org. And if you go there, you will see on there that there's our charter, and there's a button you can click on, and basically the application comes up, and it basically just says, have you read the charter? Do you agree to the charter? You click yes, and you put your organization's information in, and then we'll respond, and happily add your organization on our website. Right now we have the initial 8 organizations and 15 additional organizations that are across Africa and the diaspora.
Wow.
And we put those links in so people can see what the member organizations are doing, see where they're located, and so that it's all about us networking and building a broader Pan-African movement. So it's very easy for any organization to join. The only two stipulations about joining WWPAM is you must be an organization. We've had a number of people go to our site and say, I want to join, and we say, well, what organization are you working with? No, I'm not working with the organization. I just want to join. We say, but we have over 20 organizations that you can join. Join one of our organizations. So it's interesting that we're faced with this situation where people want to join individually, and we say no. We're building an organization of organizations, and that's I think a critical thing. And so the first thing is you have to be an organization, and secondly, you just agree to the charter. And the charter is just a couple pages. It points out major points of what we stand for, and clear that we're both anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist, anti-Zionist, but also it's clear we're for the unification of Africa under socialism, and that our view is that Africans in the diaspora are a part of that. So it's not isolationist. We're not limiting our organizations or memberships to sub-Saharan Africa. We're open to all of the world in terms of Pan-African organizations that can be part of the movement. So it's very easy to join, and we encourage others to share the information with people they know that are part of organizations and may be interested.
Oh, that's so beautiful, and we needed you on today because we were saying our organization that now what would be the best culminating event for the year 2020 after we looked at all these various individual organizations, and we said, well, we need to have on the Worldwide Pan-African Movement. So people to join, to enlist your organization with the Worldwide Pan-African Movement, you go into www.pam.org. And, after a while, we're going to have, aren't we, John, over 50 plus, more than that, organizations around the world, just over 50, and representing the different states in Africa, not to count all of us living in the diaspora. This is going to be huge at some point. That's what I believe.
I agree with you, and I think that's really the key that we have to push for. And we understand, our different organizations have their differences in terms of how they approach, who they focus in on organizing. Even they have the different views in terms of what they call their ideology. But we all share certain common things in terms of our opposition to imperialism and the recognition that we all need one unified socialist Africa. And I think that is the key, and that is where you'll find, while there may be differences, for instance, here even in Azania, where SOPA split off from AZAPO and formed its own organization, but they see in common these certain things, and this is where we see WWPAM can bring all of us together, and that's what I think we need to strive for. And WWPAM itself may transform into something else, but the bottom line, I think, is we realize that we need to bring our various Pan-African political parties and organizations together, working together, sharing our educational materials. And this is where I really have to salute you all. You've been a major contributor to the blog in terms of sharing the various podcasts and documents you have, sharing the calendar information. And you serve as a good example for what we would love to have from all of our member organizations in terms of that constant inputs. Sometimes I'm a little slow because I get bogged down in different things of putting up everything on the website. I still have things to put up this month, but excuse me for that. But as we grow and we get more assistance, even with our website, we'll be able to do a better job on that. But we really, it's important the work you all are doing in terms of contributing to WWPAM, and we both recognize that this is much needed in terms of bringing our organizations together.
That's true, and we're so thankful for you, and it's just so important. This whole idea, that bringing the organizations together in what you do, and so we are thankful for WWPAM, Worldwide Pan-African Movement, for providing a structure for Pan-African organizations to work together. And John, when you were speaking, I was saying, when Africa, when it unites, we're going to have the same fundamental, basic kinds of criteria that allow you to come on board with us. We're not going to agree on everything, but we're going to have a minimal amount of things that we're going to agree on, just like you talked about. Well, we believe in socialism. We believe in a unified Africa. We believe in principles of humanism, collectivism, egalitarianism. We don't have to believe everything, but fundamentally, some fundamental things are what we have to agree on when we come together as a unified socialist Africa. So I'm sorry.
I said that's so correct. I agree with that. That's I think on point.
Well, thank you so very much. This has been beautiful, hasn't it, Tasha?
Yes, thank you, Brother John.
Thank you both.
We'll talk again soon, John.
Okay, I'm glad that we were able to connect, and I look forward to being able to post the podcast on the website.
Oh, beautiful. Take good care of yourself. Stay safe now.
Okay, you too now.
For whatever.
Okay, forward.
Brother John from the Worldwide Pan-African Movement said some really, really interesting things.
Oh, man, he was right on point. The best thing that we could have aired in terms of our last podcast of 2020.
Yes, and he talked about organization, and that's what we've been talking about all year.
That's right.
So, yes, so join us next year, January 2020, when we will introduce the Focus of Africa Must Unite podcast for 2021. Heed the words of the warriors, guided messages to uplift African people. That calendar is going to be an awesome calendar, Mama D.
And if you want to, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tasha.
I was just going to say that calendar is a keeper. Not only does it look awesome, but it also is extremely educational. We always talking about educating our youth.
Mm-hmm. So if you would like a copy of our 2021 calendar, heed the words of the warriors, guided messages to uplift African people, please email us at panafricanrsp@gmail.com. Meanwhile, visit our website, prsponline.org. Email us at panafricanrsp@gmail.com. Like us on soundcloud.com. Visit us on YouTube. Leave comments on our Facebook page.
And remember, just like Brother John from the Worldwide Pan-African Movement said, remember, organization is the key. Remember, organization is the key. Join us, the Pan-African Revolutionary Socialist Party, or some other revolutionary Pan-Africanist Socialist Party or organization. A union of African socialist states is on the horizon.
Yes, indeed.
was born. It took me away from you, mama. Yeah. Long before I came on, yeah. And I say, Mama, Africa. Oh, what are you doing, mama? Mama, Africa. Yeah. Long time I see you, mama. Here's so many things about you. Wondering where you are. They try their best to hide you, mama, but I search and I find you, mama, Africa. Oh, what you doing, my mama, mama, Africa. Long time no see you, mama. In you there's so much beauty, yeah. In you there's so much life, yeah. In you there's so many kingdoms, yeah. To me it's out of sight, yeah. Mama, Africa. Oh, what you doing, my mama? Yeah, mama, Africa. Yeah, long time no see you, mama. Oh, what you doing, mama? Mama, Africa. Yeah. Long time no see you, mama. You're the maker of gold, mama. You're the maker